You know what I think is one of the biggest problems in the Overwatch community? It's not counter swapping, it's not matchmaking or balance. It's the fact that bronze, silver, gold, and plat, and even diamond players are constantly trying to apply advice from higher ranked players without having the foundational understanding required to actually use that advice correctly. And then they wonder why their heart's stuck. Because high-ranked advice is often correct. That's not a newsflash. But completely unusable for lower-ranked players most of the time. And I'm not saying that because middle-ranked players are stupid or anything, and not because they don't deserve the advice, but because Overwatch is a very, very layered game. And if you skip the foundation, then every advanced tip will turn into misinformation. So let me take an example here, which is when people say just take high ground. And I think this is the very classic one. And every educational creator says that high ground is strong. And this is true. This is objectively true. But then a silver soldier player walks onto high ground on, say, Gibraltar, and he instantly dies. And he's asking why? Well, because nobody explained the actual requirements for high ground to be valuable. And these things could be like sideline control, escape routes, team positioning, whether your supports can even see you in the first place. But a higher ranked player naturally understands these things subconsciously, but a newer player doesn't. So they hear that high ground is good, and then they stand on high ground alone against a D.Va, Genji, and Echo, and then they explode instantly. And now they think that this advice was bad. But the advice wasn't bad, it was just incomplete. And the part that I think nobody talks about enough is how high-ranked players forget how many fundamentals they have automated. So for example, a GM Tracer player, he doesn't consciously think where health packs are or which flank routes exist on the map. What is this audio cue? Like a newer player would go, whose footsteps is this? Like this is something they have already automated. They just know these things, and thousands of hours burn these things into their brains. So when they say just pressure their backline, they are skipping so many invisible calculations, to which a gold player hears go attack supports, and then they walk through main directly into like a Hanzo arrow or something and dies before the fight even starts. Because they don't yet understand pathing. And then also the fact that fundamentals are very boring, so people just tend to skip them. And I get why, because fundamentals are boring compared to very flashy advice. You know these videos where with titles like one tip, this is the one tip that got me to GM. People will click those videos because people want the secret trick. But Overwatch improvement is mostly microscopic details, which are repeated thousands of times. And middle rank players often skip directly to advanced macro concepts while still lacking basic awareness. And that's like trying to learn calculus before even understanding multiplication or even addition, if we can go down to that level. And I also want to talk about map knowledge, because I think it's massively underrated, and it might actually be the biggest one, especially for Overwatch. Map knowledge alone can carry someone out of medal ranks, and I'm very serious about that. I've watched a lot of VOD reviews. People don't know where to go, where to be, where the enemy is, where the teammates are going to be playing. Just understanding the map better than the lobby. That matters way more than most people realize, because lower ranked players often play maps like empty rectangles. If you've seen videos, I think it was Apply or something, I'm really not sure. You'll have to fact check on me on that. But they were talking about these triangle like angles and stuff. But newer players don't understand that concept yet because they stand in the middle of the open and they ignore cover and they rotate through open space because they know that rotating is something they need to do, but they don't know when to do it or how to do it, and they forget escape routes, etc. And then they go consume a GM advice designed for players who already mastered environmental awareness, like years ago. I mean, this game's been out for 10 years. And I guess the point I want to come to in the end here is that I want to explain these things to describe why some coaching content is accidentally harmful to newer players. And it might be a little bit controversial, but I think it's true. A lot of Overwatch educational content is made by players who are too good to remember what beginners struggle with, because they explain decisions from the perspective of someone with very elite awareness. So they'll say things like, you should obviously know their Ana has no sleep. And I'm asking, like, obviously? Because the silver player barely knows where the Ana is. Does he know she exists in the game? Or rotate to maintain angle pressure, but the newer player doesn't even understand what angle is safe yet. So the advice itself isn't wrong. It's just very disconnected from the learner's current skill foundation. And this is the biggest thing I want new players or players who are struggling in middle ranks, I want them to understand that you do not improve by mimicking high rank behavior. You improve by understanding the foundational reasons behind it. The goal is to build enough understanding that the decisions start making sense naturally. Because often fundamentals become automatic, then advanced advice becomes useful, then take-off angles actually mean something, then control space becomes understandable, and then cooldown tracking matters. But before that, most advanced advice is just noise layered on top of missing fundamentals. And honestly, that's why so many newer players feel overwhelmed with improving, because they're trying to solve graduate level problems while still learning the alphabet of the game.